Hey, hello everyone. Today we're going to do some important questions on average velocity. Some questions which might be asked and you guys might be tricked into some form or the other. So these are some really common questions which are usually asked. So the first of these questions is kind of like the question I did before this video. The question is that a person travels on a semicircular path of radius, let's say 5 meters in 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Then find the average velocity of the person. Now, this is a really basic question, but still there are some people who get tricked. So what they do is they take out the circumference of the circle by using pi into r. So they just do pi into 5 and they get 5 pi as circumference, and then they do velocity that they do that 5 pi on 10, and they get the answer as pi by 2, which is wrong. Some of you might already know this, and it's no big brainer. This answer is wrong. When we talk about average velocity, it's the change in position. So it doesn't matter if the object started from here and went like this to here, went like this to here, or went in a straight line to there. That completely doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the starting position and the ending position. So if the starting position here is 0, then the ending position here is, the radius is 5, then that doubled because it is traveling this radius twice. So this and this, the total makes it 10 meter complete, and here is 10. So the change in position is 10. So the change in position, let me write it. Change in position, delta S upon delta T, we get it as 10 upon 10, and that gives us 1 meters per second. And that is the answer to this question. So yeah, a pretty basic question, but yeah, a pretty like this question is asked a lot in the exams, so I thought, why not address this? Okay, moving on to a very common question again. This question is usually given in a word format. So the question tells you that an object or a person travels half the distance with a velocity, say 40 meters per second, and the other half of the distance with a velocity of, say, 60 meters per second. Then find the average velocity of the whole trip. Now, I'm not saying everyone, I'm not saying that you guys do it, but there are some people who get tricked, and what they do is the daily arithmetic mean of these two values. So what they do is 60 plus 40 by 2, and they achieve 50. And they say that 50 should be the average speed, because here is 40, here is 60. We know that the average is one value added to the other value divided by 2, and we get 50. But this is actually not the correct answer. Why? Well, there's a very specific reason for this. The definition of average speed or average velocity is total distance or total displacement upon total time. What is happening here is when it travels this distance, this half the distance with 40 meters per second, it travels this distance in more time as compared to this distance, because here the object of the person is slow and here the object of the person is fast. So this distance is traveled in a longer amount of time, and this is traveled in a shorter amount of time. And these variations in time are not what we are accounting while calculating arithmetic mean. While the average speed has to account for these time differences. And that is why we need to adopt a different method. So the method I use, and most people use, is we assume that this distance is d distance. Then this distance would be d by 2, half of the distance. This would also be d by 2, half of the distance. Now we know the distance, but we don't know the time. So to calculate time, we have the d by 2 distance traveled in 40 meter per second speed. So you get time is equal to distance upon speed. That would make it equal to d by 2 upon 40. That's equal to d by 80 seconds. So that is our first time. It's right in here, somewhere where the camera can focus. So d by 80, these are our times. That is the time taken for the first half. Now on to the second half. For the second half, we get d by 2 by 60. We get d by 120 seconds. And that's the time taken for the second half. D by 120. Now d is same. These two d's are same because that's the variable which we have assumed. And as you can see, that the latter time, the time taken for the latter half of the journey is smaller as compared to the first half. And that was the point I was trying to make. So, yeah, there's nothing left. We have two times, we have two distances, d by 2 and d by 2. We can now calculate the average speed. The average speed is nothing but total distance upon total time. So total distance is d by 2 plus d by 2, which is d, upon total time. This is time and this is time. These both are times taken. The total time is d by 80 plus d by 120. So d by 80 plus d by 120. Now if I take d common out of this, if I factor out d from here, I got 1 upon 80, 1 upon 120, like this. And then I can cancel d here. And that should happen because d is not given in the initial question. That's a variable which I have assumed myself. We are left with s is equal to 1 upon 1 by 80 plus 1 by, you guys cannot see it, right? S is equal to 1 upon 80 plus 1 upon 120. And if I calculate this, it'll begin, we take the lowest common multiple of these two values, that would turn out to be 240. So 3 plus 2 upon 240, that would be 240 upon 5, which is 48 meters per second. And that is our answer. Not 50, but 48 meters per second. There's also a very specific formula you guys can memorize for this, but I do not endorse memorizing anything, at least in physics. In physics, it's pure conceptual. Only memorize and use this formula if you understand each and everything which I just explained. So the formula is S is equal to S1 S2 into 2 upon S1 plus S2, where S1 and S2 are the respective speeds we have been given. So like in the previous question, S1 was 40 and S2 is 60. So if you plug it into this formula, that would give us 48. And you guys can check it yourselves. This method is called taking the harmonic mean of the speeds. And that's a mathematics thing. But yeah, I would only suggest you to memorize and use this formula if you understand each and everything which I just explained. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks.